Well, my dear souls, today's tale will warm your heart. Today, you're going to hear a story that'll stir your emotions and challenge everything you think you know about the fight for justice and belonging. Ethan, just 10 years old, lost his parents in a tragic accident, but was it really just an accident? And what's hiding behind the new families he keeps being placed with? A social worker named Sarah is doing everything she can to help him find a real home, but is she ready to face the dark secrets that are about to come to light? But the real question is, who's truly in danger? Ethan? Sarah? Or could it be that both their pasts are about to come back and change everything? Stay with us till the very end, my darlings, because in this story, nothing is what it seems and the truth will absolutely surprise you. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss a single twist in this mystery full of heart, hope, and a whole lot of chills.
The constant hum of Chicago traffic seemed to echo within the small waiting room. Ethan, 10 years old with a look that already knew life's hardships, clutched his teddy bear, his only comfort. The cold white walls of the orphanage contrasted with the explosion of colors in the drawings in his notebook, a fantasy world where his parents still smiled. He had lost everything in an instant, an accident that stole his memories and cast him into an impersonal system. The social worker, Sarah, a woman with a tired but kind gaze, watched Ethan. She knew the pain of loss, the anguish of loneliness, and saw in the boy a reflection of her own journey. Her past haunted her, but it motivated her to fight for children like Ethan, who deserved a home and a family. She knew the system was flawed, but refused to lose hope of finding a place where the boy could flourish. The conflict was established in the very essence of the story. A lost boy searching for a home, a bureaucratic system that seemed more like a labyrinth than a safe haven, and a social worker determined to break the rules to protect a child. Each temporary home was a new disappointment, each unfamiliar face, a new obstacle. Ethan's fragility, contrasted with Sarah's inner strength, created a tense dynamic, a foreshadowing that the journey would be arduous, but full of moments of hope and tenderness. The promise of a new home hung in the air, a possibility that Ethan hesitated to embrace, afraid that it would be just another illusion. Sarah, in turn, struggled with her own demons, determined not to let the past prevent her from giving Ethan the future he deserved. The teddy bear, the drawings in his notebook, the glances exchanged between Sarah and Ethan were the promise of an exciting story, with twists and a surprising ending. The story takes place in contemporary Chicago, a vibrant and chaotic city, with its imposing skyscrapers and cozy neighborhoods. The adoption system, with its impersonal offices and cold corridors, contrasts with the energy of the streets, where life pulsates on every corner. Ethan, a 10-year-old boy with eyes that reflect the pain of loss, is a silent observer of this world, a potential artist who finds refuge in his drawings. He carries with him the memory of his parents, a beacon in the darkness of loneliness. Sarah, on the other hand, is a social worker who knows the gears of this system well. She grew up in foster homes, experiencing firsthand the instability and lack of affection. Her past motivates her to fight for children like Ethan, to offer the support and hope that she herself did not have. She is a strong and determined woman, with a generous heart and a look that conveys empathy and understanding. Her relationship with Ethan is built on trust and mutual respect, a bond that grows stronger each day. The orphanage where Ethan is located is a place of passage, a space where children await an uncertain future. The rooms are small and impersonal, the meals are quick and silent, and the routine is monotonous and repetitive. Ethan feels like a stranger, a number in a system that doesn't seem to care about his emotions. He clings to his teddy bear, his only companion, and to his drawings, where he creates a fantasy world where he can be happy. Ethan's first temporary home, the house of a lady named Betty, is a cold and distant environment. Betty, although well-intentioned, is unable to connect with the boy, who feels even more alone and isolated. The lack of attention and affection makes him close up even more, building walls around his heart. He begins to wonder if he will ever find a place where he can be himself, where he can be loved and accepted. Ethan's initial motivation is to survive, to find a safe haven in the midst of the storm, while Sarah tirelessly searches for a home that can offer him the stability and love he so deserves. The search for a home for Ethan intensifies, revealing secrets from Sarah's past, her own traumatic adoption and her struggle with depression. A promising home emerges, but the family hides a dark side, and Ethan, with his sensitivity, realizes that something was wrong in that place. Sarah, torn between hope and fear, decides to investigate, triggering a series of twists that put Ethan's future and her own safety at risk. In the midst of all this, there is the discovery that Ethan's parents' accident was not as accidental as it seemed, and a family secret emerges, changing everything. Little Ethan's goal is simple: to find a place where he can feel safe and loved, a real home. But the adoption system, with its rules and bureaucracy, becomes the first major obstacle. Each temporary home is a new disappointment, each family a new challenge, and he ends up closing himself off in his world, taking refuge in his drawings and his teddy bear, seeking in his memories a consolation for the pain of loss. Sarah, in turn, aims to protect Ethan, to find a home that can offer him the stability and love he so deserves. But her past haunts her, and her own traumas prevent her from fully committing to her mission. She finds herself torn between the desire to help Ethan and the fear of being hurt again. Her relationship with the boy deepens, built on trust and mutual respect, but also marked by tension and the uncertainty of Ethan's future. An old friend of Sarah's, a detective named Michael, helps her investigate the past of the family that seems perfect for Ethan. Michael, with his skeptical gaze and his experience in complex cases, brings a new perspective to the story, revealing dark secrets and imminent dangers. He becomes an ally of Sarah, but also an obstacle to her approach to Ethan. The obstacles multiply when Ethan begins to show signs that something is not right with the new family. He becomes more withdrawn, more silent, and his drawings that were once colorful and happy now begin to reflect the anguish and fear he feels. Sarah realizes that time is running out and that she needs to act quickly to protect Ethan. The apparent tranquility of Ethan's life is abruptly interrupted when he finds an old diary of his mother, hidden in a box of keepsakes. The pages reveal secrets about the family's past, indicating that the car accident was not a mere accident, but rather a premeditated act. Ethan's mother's diary not only reveals the truth about the accident, but also points to a possible culprit, a distant relative obsessed with the family's inheritance. This revelation transforms Ethan's fear into an urgent need for protection and motivates Sarah to go beyond her obligations as a social worker. She decides to investigate the family's past thoroughly, even if it puts her job and her own life at risk. The discovery of the diary also triggers a series of unexpected events. Ethan's new family, which seemed perfect, begins to show strange behaviors, and Sarah realizes that the boy is in danger. She decides to act on her own, putting her career and her own safety at risk. The status quo is completely altered, and the plot takes on a new dimension, with urgency and suspense taking over the narrative. The diary incident forces Ethan to leave his comfort zone, to confront his fears and to fight for his own survival. He becomes an active participant in the story, using his intelligence and sensitivity to unravel the secrets of the past. Sarah, in turn, becomes more determined than ever, willing to do whatever it takes to protect Ethan and take him to a safe place. The discovery of Ethan's mother's diary triggers a series of events that put the boy's life at risk. Sarah, determined to protect him, decides to take him away from the new family, placing him in a temporary shelter, a place even more precarious and unsafe. Sarah's action generates conflict with the system, which accuses her of negligence and disobedience. She finds herself alone against everyone, fighting against bureaucracy and corruption. Michael, Sarah's detective friend, joins the investigation, revealing connections between the suspected relative and influential figures in the city. And a new character arrives in the story, an ambitious and unscrupulous lawyer who seems to be involved in a scheme to take the inheritance of Ethan's family. Ethan, in the shelter, feels even more lost and vulnerable. He clings to his drawings, creating a fantasy world where he can feel safe and protected. He begins to have nightmares about his parents' accident, and his anxiety increases every day. He realizes that the real world is much more dangerous and cruel than he imagined, and that he needs to be strong to survive. The relationship between Sarah and Detective Michael becomes more tense, with the detective questioning the social worker's impulsive decisions. They find themselves on opposite sides with different views on how to protect Ethan. An old abandoned warehouse becomes Sarah and Ethan's hideout. The place, dark and dusty, is a reflection of the situation they are in, a place of refuge and danger. The atmosphere of the place is tense and claustrophobic. Sarah and Ethan's situation in the warehouse becomes increasingly precarious, with the pursuit of the suspected relative intensifying. They are forced to constantly change hideouts, always living in a state of alert. The tension between Sarah and Michael increases, with the detective questioning the social worker's impulsive decisions and implying that Michael has feelings for Sarah, creating an emotional dilemma in the midst of the crisis. The boy Ethan, increasingly aware of the danger, begins to show signs of stress and anxiety. His drawings become darker and more distressing, reflecting the fear and uncertainty he feels. He clings to Sarah as his only hope, trusting her to protect him and take him to a safe place. The relationship between them strengthens, with Sarah becoming a mother figure for the boy. Sarah faces a moral dilemma. She needs to choose between following the rules of the system and protecting Ethan at all costs. She decides to risk everything, putting her career and her freedom at stake to ensure the boy's safety. The plot thickens with the revelation that the suspected relative is, in fact, Sarah's biological father, creating an emotional and family conflict that makes her even more vulnerable. The tension between the characters reaches its peak, with the pursuit becoming increasingly relentless and the secrets of the past coming to light. The revelation that the suspected relative is Sarah's biological father causes a deep shock to the social worker. She needs to decide whether to confront her father, even if it puts her life and Ethan's life in danger. A mysterious hacker contacts Sarah, offering crucial information about the lawyer's scheme and the past of Ethan's family. Sarah and Michael decide to use the hacker's information to expose the lawyer's scheme and protect Ethan. They plan a risky confrontation, putting their own lives at risk. The tension between them turns into a solid partnership, with Michael expressing his feelings for Sarah and committing to protect her. Ethan, realizing the gravity of the situation, decides to join the fight. He uses his intelligence and sensitivity to decipher the riddles in his mother's diary, finding clues that can help unmask the lawyer's scheme. He becomes an active participant in the story, showing his courage and determination. Ethan's transformation, from a lost and frightened boy to a strong and courageous young man, is one of the highlights of the story. The group of Sarah, Michael, and Ethan draws up a plan to expose the lawyer and his scheme. They take refuge in an old law office, where they find documents that prove the lawyer's guilt. The tension increases with the discovery that Sarah's relative, her biological father, is involved in the scheme, creating an emotional conflict for the social worker. The mysterious hacker, who turns out to be an old acquaintance of Sarah's, provides additional information about the lawyer's past and his connection to Ethan's parents' accident. The plot thickens with the revelation that the lawyer plans to kidnap Ethan to use his inheritance for his own benefit. The race against time intensifies, with danger getting closer and closer. Michael, determined to protect Sarah and Ethan, decides to infiltrate the lawyer's organization, putting his life at risk. Michael expresses his love for Sarah and promises to protect her at all costs. The alliance between them strengthens, with love becoming a motivating force in the midst of the crisis. Michael's infiltration into the lawyer's organization puts him in great danger. He discovers that the lawyer plans to use Ethan as a bargaining chip to negotiate with Sarah's relative, revealing an even more complex web of conspiracy. The tension increases with the discovery that the hacker is actually working for the lawyer, betraying Sarah and Michael. Trust between the characters is shaken, creating an atmosphere of uncertainty and suspense. Sarah, confronted with the hacker's betrayal and the imminent threat to Ethan, faces a moral dilemma. She needs to decide whether to trust her father, the suspected relative, to protect the boy. Sarah feels torn between love and hate. The plot thickens with the revelation that Sarah's father is also the mastermind behind Ethan's parents' accident, creating an even greater conflict. Ethan, realizing the danger everyone is in, decides to act on his own. He uses his drawings as clues, leaving secret messages for Sarah and Michael, indicating the location where the lawyer plans to kidnap him. The final confrontation takes place in an abandoned warehouse, where the lawyer plans to kidnap Ethan. Sarah, Michael, and Ethan, together, face the lawyer and his henchmen in an intense and exciting fight. The hacker's betrayal is exposed, and he is defeated. Sarah's father, revealed as the mastermind behind Ethan's parents' accident, appears to try to prevent the lawyer's capture, creating a dramatic family confrontation. Sarah, confronted with the truth about her father, faces a moral dilemma. She needs to decide whether to hand him over to justice or protect him. Using his intelligence and sensitivity, Ethan manages to disarm a bomb hidden inside a cabinet, planted by the lawyer, saving everyone's lives. The boy's transformation from victim to hero is one of the most emotional moments in the story. The lawyer and Sarah's father are arrested, and the scheme is dismantled. Justice is served, and evil is defeated. After the arrest of the lawyer and Sarah's father, Ethan finally finds a safe and loving home. He is adopted by a family who welcomes him with care and respect, offering him the stability and love he always longed for. The pain of losing his parents still exists, but he learns to cope with it, transforming his sadness into strength and inspiration. Sarah, after the confrontation with her father, decides to step away from the adoption system, seeking a new way to help children. She becomes a children's rights advocate, using her experience and courage to fight for justice and equality. She marries Michael, and together they build a beautiful and loving family, offering a home to children who need love and care. Ethan becomes a renowned artist, using his drawings to tell his story and inspire others. He never forgets his past, his pain, his struggle. He becomes an example of overcoming adversity and resilience, proving that even in the most difficult moments, it is possible to find light and happiness. He becomes a mentor for children who, like him, have experienced suffering. The story of Ethan, Sarah, and Michael is an example of how love, courage, and determination can transform pain into hope. It is proof that even in the darkest moments, it is possible to find light and happiness. Ethan's story is an example of how courage, determination, and love can transform pain into hope. It's proof that even in the most difficult moments, it's possible to find light and happiness. Now, reflect on the importance of fighting for justice and protecting those we love. What would you do in a situation like this? The lives of Ethan, Sarah, and Michael teach us that everyone deserves a second chance, that everyone deserves a home, that everyone deserves to be loved. Now, reflect on the impact your actions can have on the lives of others. What will you do to make the world a better place?